This is a case that unfolded on the streets of Oakland, California, USA, on August 21st, 22. In a mere 5 seconds, 3 gunshots shattered the quiet of a residential neighborhood. A 60-year-old woman, who should have been stepping cheerfully into a massage parlor across the street, now lay helpless in a pool of her own blood. Her boyfriend narrowly escaped death by ducking into a car just in time. Moments later, he cradled her in his arms, one hand supporting her head, the other pressing desperately against her wounds. She had been hit by 2 bullets and was rushed to the hospital, but despite the efforts to save her, she succumbed to her injuries and passed away that same evening. The victim was a renowned dentist from Shanghai named Lili Xu, gunned down in broad daylight, an incident that sent shockwaves through the local Chinese community. At first, everyone assumed it was a random tragedy tied to the area's shaky security, but as the investigation unfolded, it became clear that this was no accident. It was a carefully disguised act. The depths of human malice can be impossible to fathom. So, what really happened? You're watching True Crime in the World, where we explore the most puzzling cases and most gripping stories. As usual, before we begin unraveling today's mystery, please leave us a like and subscribe to support the channel. Thank you so much. The name Oakland comes from the English word meaning land of oaks, a nod to the beautiful oak forests that once lined the eastern shore of San Francisco Bay. Even the city's emblem features an oak tree. Positioned across the water from San Francisco, Oakland is linked to its famous neighbor by the Bay Bridge, one of the world's longest-spanning bridges. In Wallet Hub's 22 ranking of America's safest and most dangerous cities, a US-based credit review site, Oakland, California, made the list, but it landed 8th from the bottom. The victim, Lili Xu, was born on August 4, 1962, in Shanghai. She was an exceptional dentist who graduated from the stomatology department of Shanghai Second Medical University and worked for 9 years at the 9th People's Hospital, affiliated with Shanghai Jiao Tong University School of Medicine. The hospital's stomatology department is among the best in China. During her tenure there, she married and had a child, a life that seemed, by all accounts, nearly perfect. In '95, her husband was offered a chance to study abroad in the United States. Without hesitation, Lili Xu chose to support his dreams, and the family left Shanghai for America. To practice dentistry in the US, she had to start over from scratch. First came the language barrier. Each night, she'd wait until her child was fast asleep before studying English. Then came the professional hurdles. She completed advanced dental courses at the University of the Pacific and the University of California, Los Angeles. By '97, Lili Xu had earned her doctorate from the University of California. She and her newly graduated husband settled in Oakland's Little Saigon neighborhood. Little Saigon refers to communities of Vietnamese expatriates outside Vietnam, often designating Vietnamese enclaves in the US. Oakland's Little Saigon is no exception. A vibrant hub and one of the largest Vietnamese communities in the area, as well as a bustling commercial district with a strong Asian presence. Beyond the Vietnamese, it's home to a significant Chinese population too. When Lili Xu arrived, she quickly noticed the unspoken bond among expatriates, a warmth and ease that transcended borders. With her outgoing nature, she forged connections with her neighbors almost effortlessly. This sparked a realization in Lili Xu, ever the astute businesswoman. She saw an opportunity and decided to step away from hospital work to open her own dental clinic right in the heart of the neighborhood. Her husband objected, arguing that a steady job in the public sector was far more secure. Undeterred, Lili Xu pressed forward, opening her modest practice with unwavering determination and pouring her heart into the venture. She built a thriving career thanks to her expert skills, warm service, and affordable rates. Her client base grew steadily, but as her professional life flourished, her marriage began to falter. Frequent arguments erupted, compounded by her husband's desire to return to China for career opportunities. In the end, they parted ways. Lili Xu took custody of their son and continued running her small clinic. Beyond her work, she was deeply committed to giving back. Passionate about community service, she offered budget-friendly treatments and often provided free care to pastors and impoverished elderly patients. Her generosity earned her widespread praise and admiration from those around her, cementing her status as a beloved figure in the community. Over the years, her clinic became a local institution. Operating for more than 2 decades, it served families across 3 generations, grandparents, parents, and their children. Her business prospered. She lived in a sprawling $14 million home and even opened a second location in Castro Valley, an Oakland suburb. A reporter from Global People magazine reached out to a longtime friend of Lili Shu's, an assistant dean at a U.S. medical university. The friend shared, "We'd often grab dinner, shop, or talk investments together. Lili's business was booming. She was pulling in over $800,000 a year." As her career reached a steady peak, Lili Shu's love life blossomed into a second spring. A man who had once run a financial firm entered her world. Having amassed considerable wealth, Lili Shu began to think about managing her finances. But with little experience, she sought advice from those around her. It was then that an enthusiastic client introduced her to their son, a financial advisor named Nelson Peter Chia. 13 years her senior, Nelson was of Chinese descent. Well-spoken, musically gifted, and fond of singing, playing tennis, and driving luxury cars. He ran an investment company and, like Lili Shu, was divorced, raising 3 children of his own. Their connection sparked through conversation, quickly deepening into mutual understanding and love. Though they never married, they lived together, their bond enduring for over a decade. Perhaps influenced by Nelson, Lili Shu shed some of her usual openness and took up new pursuits, learning piano and studying dance. On August 4th, 2022, Lili Shu celebrated her 60th birthday. Nelson and close friends threw her a unique party. No lavish banquet or far-flung guests, just a small circle of trusted companions. They gathered to toast her, their laughter filling the air. Amid the joy, Lili Shu took the stage herself, performing a striking ballet piece for the group. Her movements were graceful, defying belief that she had reached her 60s. That picture of happiness, who could have imagined that just 2 weeks later, 3 gunshots would bring her life to an abrupt end? When news of the tragedy broke, her longtime clients couldn't hold back their tears, overwhelmed by grief. After the incident, Nelson struggled to speak when interviewed by reporters, his voice breaking repeatedly until words failed him entirely. Each time he recalled those fleeting seconds of the shooting, tears streamed down his face, his sobs sometimes robbing him of sound. Friends and family could only pat his back gently, offering what comfort they could. "I heard 2 or 3 sounds, pop, pop, pop," he recounted. "It all happened so fast, so suddenly." According to the reporter present at the time, neither Nelson nor Lili Shu's friends believed this was a botched robbery, as the police had suggested. Instead, they saw it as a targeted hate crime against Asians. Why did they think that? There are 3 reasons. First, data from Stop AAPI Hate, an organization dedicated to combating anti-Asian hate in America. Between March 19th, 20, and March 13th, 22, a span of 2 years, approximately 11,500 hate incidents targeting Asian Americans were reported across the country, with numbers still climbing. Second, the crime scene itself. Lili Shu's handbag was left untouched. At first glance, it might seem like a robbery, but the fact that nothing was stolen raised troubling questions. Third, a similar incident had occurred in the neighborhood just a month earlier, with eerily close timing and circumstances. In that case, too, the victim's phone and wallet were left behind. On August 24th, the Chinese Consulate General in San Francisco issued a statement condemning the violent anti-Asian act in Oakland and urging Chinese nationals in the consular district to heighten their safety awareness and precautions. Little Saigon, already a low point for security, reached a breaking point. The very next afternoon after Lili Shu's murder, the community erupted. Residents spontaneously gathered outside Oakland City Hall, demanding answers from the government. One by one, they took the microphone, their voices thick with anger and disillusionment. "I've heard enough about Chinese Americans being attacked. I'm asking the community, the police chief, when will this stop?" It seemed nothing was changing. According to the Times, between July 21 and July 22, in Little Saigon's Eastlake residential area, robberies surged by 10%, shootings spiked by 33%, and aggravated assaults soared by 50%. The past 2 months had been especially intense. Just a month earlier, a Chinese rideshare driver was shot dead on the spot, the method mirroring Lili Shu's case. Even more chilling, that killing also took place on a Sunday. Rewind to around 11 a.m. on July 17th. Feng Chan Ho, an immigrant from Hong Kong, sat in his car, waiting for a delivery order from the platform. Suddenly, two men yanked open the driver's side door and ordered him out. When Feng refused, gunfire erupted. The entire ordeal lasted just 5 seconds. Feng Chan-ho died instantly. At 52, Feng left behind elderly parents and a young child. He'd been in the US for 8 years, juggling 2 jobs, delivery and driving, working 17 to 18 hours a day without a single day off. His goal was straightforward: earn enough to care for his parents and marry his girlfriend of 5 years, a fellow Hong Kong native. Though she was divorced with a child of her own, it never stood in the way of their love. Feng lived frugally, rarely spending on himself, yet he was generous to friends. 2 days later, Judy, Feng's girlfriend, agreed to an interview. She spoke of him as family. Feng was gentle and kind, treating her son like his own. When the tragedy struck, Judy was buying vegetables at a nearby market. Feng had dropped her off there earlier, then returned to their neighborhood, a spot teeming with restaurants and prime for midday food delivery orders. He planned to run a few jobs before picking her up. At home, Judy's son heard the gunshots, but brushed them off. It wasn't until police sirens wailed outside that he looked up to see squad cars surrounding Feng's vehicle. He immediately called his mother. By the time Judy arrived, Feng lay on the ground, draped in a white sheet. She tried to get closer, but officers held her back, informing her that Feng was gone. Through tears, Judy demanded answers. Why did this have to happen on a Sunday? California needs stricter law enforcement, tighter controls. No one should get a gun that easily. We have to prevent crime down to the smallest details, and community safety demands more resources. In the wake of Feng Chan-ho's killing, a prosecutor declared it had shaken the entire community to its core, an act of brazen violence in broad daylight. Feng's family suspected the attackers might live nearby, deliberately targeting Asians. The neighborhood had been restless for 2 years, with Chinese-owned businesses in Little Saigon plagued by theft. One jewelry store was hit 10 times in a single year, leaving its owner with no choice but to sleep there each night. These thieves were ruthless. When they couldn't steal, they'd set fires, like the blaze that gutted a furniture shop. One store owner remarked that bringing a business to Oakland felt like walking into a dead end. Worse still was the local police's indifference. Desperate, Chinese merchants boarded up their shops with plywood and slashed operating hours to fend off danger. Stores that once stayed open until 8 p.m. now shuttered at 4 p.m. or 5:30 at the latest. But as thefts and assaults escalated, on June 13th, more than 20 shop owners banded together, bravely sharing their stories. They longed for a safe community and launched a fundraising campaign to install surveillance cameras. Sadly, the effort yielded little. Feng Chan-ho was murdered just over a month later. Then, on August 1st, half a month after Feng's death, 7 businesses in a nearby area were burglarized, including a laundromat, nail salon, flower shop, restaurant, and dessert cafe. Simon Liu, a restaurant owner, described how thieves climbed down from the roof, leaving a gaping hole. Though they took cash, the damage far exceeded their haul. Another laundromat owner fumed, "This happens every week. We're on edge, unable to relax. It's become routine." In footage later released by police, the thieves showed no fear, strolling away calmly after grabbing what they wanted. Once, spotting a homeless man on the street, they even tossed him spare change, as if money was no object, and robbing these shops was just a thrill. More absurd still, when the crew broke into a store at 4:30 a.m., the alarm blared and a call went out to police. Yet the Oakland Police Department claimed they received the report at 6:11 a.m., arriving at the shopping center by 7:24 a.m. Shop owners were livid, their faith in timely police response all but gone. The cops were unreliable, call them, and they still wouldn't show. At that moment, a nail salon owner pleaded with Oakland Mayor Libby Schaaf. "Mayor, please do something. This area is under constant attack. We're struggling to survive here." Little did anyone expect that just 20 days later, Lili Shu would be murdered. Her boyfriend Nelson recalls that day vividly. The couple had planned to get a massage. As usual, he parked in a lot across the street from the spa. They'd barely pulled in when Lili Shu reminded him to stow some bags and clothes in the trunk. What followed is a blur of terror and chaos. Screams, gunshots, the slam of a car door, and the roar of an engine. Nelson can hardly piece together his actions in those frantic seconds. All he knew was he had to escape the mayhem. When his mind finally cleared, he found Lili Shu gravely wounded, crumpled on the ground, unconscious. The gunfire drew neighbors out of their homes. They rushed to help, bringing towels and anything else they could grab, while others called the police. When officers arrived, they recovered just 3 shell casings. Limited surveillance at the scene hampered their efforts, but a camera across the street offered critical clues. The suspect's vehicle was an older white car. The assailant leapt out, charging straight for Lili Shu as she stepped from the passenger side. Her shouts of resistance crackled through the footage. Tellingly, that white car had been circling the area for over half an hour, seemingly hunting for a target. Then Lili Shu's car pulled up. Early police findings revealed that moments before the attack, a white Tesla had passed the suspect's vehicle, its onboard camera possibly capturing something vital. At a 3:30 p.m. press conference on August 22nd, Oakland Police Chief Ronnie Armstrong urged the community to come forward with tips and asked shop owners to check their storefront cameras. He thanked residents for their cooperation and pledged round-the-clock patrols in Little Saigon. That evening, Lili Shu's family, friends, city officials, and community members gathered near the crime scene, lighting candles and laying flowers in her memory. On August 24th, Shanghai Jiao Tong University School of Medicine published her obituary, expressing profound sorrow at her loss. On September 1st, loved ones held her funeral and memorial service. Hundreds attended voluntarily, filling the church to capacity. During the service, Nelson and her 32-year-old son took turns speaking. At one emotional peak, Nelson broke into a tearful rendition of "You'll Never Walk Alone." After learning of Lili Shu's murder, Master Ye, a longtime friend of the massage parlor owner, stepped in to help. A local surveillance equipment dealer, Master Ye had seen his business thrive over the past 2 years amid rising community safety concerns. He'd installed systems for countless merchants and private homes. With the property owner's permission, he remotely accessed a fisheye camera near the crime scene from the day of the murder to review the footage. Though he had heard speculation of a robbery or anti-Asian hate crime, after studying the video repeatedly, Master Ye reached a different conclusion. This wasn't hate-driven, it was a setup. He flagged 3 suspicious details. First, the white suspect vehicle had lingered for about 13 minutes half a block from the scene, a detail police had previously overlooked. During that time, 2 patrol cars passed by. If this were a random crime, the suspect would likely have moved to a safer spot to lie in wait. Second, the shooter exited his car, bypassed Nelson, who was closer, and took a wide detour to reach Lili Shu, firing 3 shots in rapid succession. The entire act took 6 seconds. No verbal warning, no hesitation, just a shove to the ground and gunfire. Curiously, not a single bullet struck Nelson. If this were a robbery, killing Lili Shu wasn't necessary. Third, Master Yi spoke to the massage parlor owner and learned Nelson had booked their appointment the day before. He found the murder plan brazen, almost flaunting its lack of subtlety. Soon after, he handed the footage to police, which clearly showed the suspect vehicle's license plate. Once police reviewed the video, they quietly turned their attention to Nelson. Interviews with Lili Shu's friends revealed that on the day of the murder, Nelson didn't ride with the ambulance to the hospital. He stayed behind to give a statement. His mute sobbing during the press interview struck them as odd, too theatrical. 2 days after the killing, the community held a memorial. Nelson had promised to attend and speak, pressing police to solve the case quickly, but he didn't show. Instead, he sent a friend in his place. As for a reward, despite his wealth, Nelson offered not a cent, an unusual move that raised eyebrows. Police Chief Ronnie Armstrong noted the case demanded deeper scrutiny. It didn't fit the profile of a typical robbery. Using the license plate, they traced the suspect vehicle. It originally belonged to a dealership in Stockton, 100 kilometers from Little Saigon. Just before the murder, it was sold to Hashim Basin, a name already in their database. Hashim Basin, now 33, was once a professional tennis player, even competing in 2007. Traces of his past can still be found online, so why was his name in the criminal database? 10 years ago, Hashim clashed with police. That year, a protest erupted in Albany, California, against the commercialization of farmland. The land, long used by UC Berkeley for plant genetics research, mostly corn, became a battleground. In 2002, Berkeley's mayor had backed a redevelopment plan, sparking unrest. Police matched fingerprints from shell casings at the scene, and Lili Shu's car trunk to Hashim's records in the system. A perfect hit. They swiftly obtained a search warrant, raided his home, and uncovered several firearms. Ballistics confirmed one matched the weapon used in Lili Shu's murder. Hashim was arrested on October 27, 22, 2 months after her death. Simultaneously, Lili Shu's boyfriend Nelson was taken into custody. In Hashim's phone, police found a detailed plot between the two, dates, times, and the exact location of the killing, hatched back in July. Deeper digging revealed Hashim had been Nelson's tennis coach. Their connection stretched back years. A mutual friend described Nelson's lavish lifestyle, Porsches, Bentleys, BMWs, and how they met at a tennis club 12 years ago. Hashim, a club employee, became Nelson's hired coach. They grew close, often spotted together. The friend found Hashim decent enough, baffled by his involvement. The answer lay in phone chat logs. Hashim acted for a hefty payout. More chillingly, he instructed Nelson to mislead police if they sought suspect photos, using his witness status to throw them off. Lili Shu's estate, valued between $12 million and $14 million, included life insurance, trusts, her company, properties, and financial accounts. Her son was the beneficiary, but Nelson, a former financial advisor, had wormed his way in. Within weeks, assets began shifting to his name. Police suspected greed drove him to eliminate her. A month before the murder, Nelson had secretly tried transferring her wealth to himself and his son, only to be blocked by her insurance broker, who flagged it as illegal. Nelson's post-murder performance was Oscar-worthy. He played the grieving lover, then pivoted to misdirect police, fanning flames of anti-Asian hate to manipulate everyone around him. On October 28th, Oakland police held Hashim and Nelson separately at Santa Rita Jail, awaiting trial. But at 2:08 p.m. that same day, during a routine check, guards noticed something off about Nelson's posture. Unlocking the cell, they found a t-shirt knotted from the door handle to his neck. Medics rushed in to intervene, but it was too late. By 2:30 p.m., Nelson was declared dead. No evidence of an attack, murder, or foul play emerged at the scene. Police concluded he'd taken his own life. Outside the jail, authorities held a press conference. This wasn't a case about racial hate, it was about greed. Some tried to twist this incident to fracture our community. I hope we can stand together and support the families and residents. We've all been touched by this tragedy. As the truth unraveled, shock rippled through the public. Yet 2 people remained unsurprised. One was Thomas Cooney, a retired university professor and Nelson's acquaintance. It's not what I wanted, but it doesn't shock me. The other was Byron, Nelson's estranged son, who didn't even carry his father's last name. He learned of Nelson's death from a high school friend. On his father's passing, he said flatly, "I don't feel the slightest bit sad." Byron reflected on his upbringing, a childhood shadowed by abuse. He recounted harrowing moments. In 6th grade, Nelson forbade him from calling his high school girlfriend, once hurling a phone at him, shattering his nose and sidelining him from class. Nelson's infidelity to Byron's mother was relentless, a parade of blondes always in orbit. He never hid it. Byron and his brother bore witness too many times. Worse, Byron recalled how Nelson seemed exhilarated watching torture, human or animal, in movies or real life. To him, Nelson lacked empathy, his antisocial streak glaringly apparent. Just 5 days before his arrest, Nelson staged a memorial concert for Lili Shu. Tickets ranged from $50 to $200, her smiling face plastered on the flyers. It felt performative, insincere. A friend who attended remembered Nelson singing "Once Upon a Time" in a black suit, his demeanor dripping with sentiment, yet his voice rang hollow, unconvincing. A close friend revealed Lili Shu had planned to break things off with Nelson that day, a possible spark for the murder, but Nelson's death became his escape from public contempt and legal reckoning. While many assumed money drove him, whether that was the whole story remains a mystery, buried with him. In the end, his accomplice Hashim faced 5 charges, including murder, but pleaded not guilty. His trial still looms. That wraps today's case. What do you think? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let's discuss. Before you go, hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell to catch our next video on true crime in the world.